Let me do something real quick. Xfinity. Turn off some stuff. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Share the Live Stream. My name is Joel Barnes. I'm your host for now. On the show where we show up. We show up every day at 1:30, Monday through Friday. Just like Will Smith at the doc in I Am Legend. You know, showing up at a certain time, certain place every day. Just make sure people know that they're not alone. Make sure that people know that we're here, that we're for them, that we're here to listen, to share, to be with, to spend time. And that's a very simple mission for the show. It's just to show up and share. The show is called Good News and Company. So we try to go through things that are good news, things that are, even if they're trying in and of their nature, where we can find the good news. Today, I'm excited. But first, before I get too excited, let me go ahead and make sure I pop on this this live stream. I'm not sure why. Let me see here. Live on Instagram is not working, of course, today. You know, go through all the trouble getting a new computer, setting up to make sure we can stream. Let's see how we do now. We are now live. Okay, cool. So there we go. We are live. And Gracie is passed out. Knocked out right there. So we're live. She's knocked out. We're in good hands. She's protecting the crib. And Instagram is acting up again. Interesting. All right. So anyways, we'll see how Instagram does. We'll see if we can actually get a good connection on Instagram. But we're trying to make sure that that we're showing up live every day at 1:30 to spread some good news and company. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that we're there with people. We're there so that people know where to tune in, where to find some good news, right? I'm trying to be a light in a really, really weird, really dark, really hard time. It feels like every single day there's something else. There's just something else that's bad news. And so we are trying to do our best to show up and be with people every single day. So my name is Joel, the host of Good News and Company on Share the Live Stream. The Instagram going off and on is going to drive me crazy. But today we're going to be starting day one where we actually dissect songs from, I'm going to turn off the Instagram because it is literally like driving me nuts. I'm going to restart my internet on my phone, not here. Let's see if that works. But today what we're going to do is we're going to go through one song from DMX, and we're going to basically dissect it. And so something that I think has been maybe a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow that like DMX could be a human being, a man of God, a man that went to heaven after some of his songs. I'm not gonna lie. It's like you can listen to some of his songs and be like, geez, that guy was doing the most. And yesterday, as I was kind of talking, I was like, you know, this is it doesn't feel like very many people, it doesn't feel like Christians are really embracing DMX for all the ways that he struggled and all the ways that he unabashedly loved God. And so I want to. And so that's what I want to do for this week. And I want to, you know, I feel like I'm a person, I felt like I have connected in a different way with artists like DMX because, because he was me. He just kind of wore his emotions on his heart sleeve. He wore himself inside out. He was inside out. Let's see if the connection works now. For his emotions were never hidden. He didn't really hide who he was, didn't hide, you know, what he stood for, what he believed in. He didn't hide his demons. Maybe he did, you know, to a certain degree, because, you know, it's a hard thing to battle addiction. But what I always loved about DMX, and part of the reason why I feel like he was such an important and impactful artist in my life was because He almost gave me permission to wrestle with God in a new way, right? I had heard what I felt like DMX, to me, if he were a Bible figure. And what I think is also incredible is there are probably new chapters of the Bible being written right now that we just don't realize. We don't know. Imagine that. Imagine if the truth and the stories of today were encapsulated in another version of the Bible in another 2,000 years. And we talked about what we were doing today. And we talked about what, people were saying today. And we talked about how people were acting with each other today. And that version of the Bible is the Bible that we read in heaven, that we get exposed to in heaven, that we have a chance to be like, where were we in this story that's being written? Because, if you think about it, it wasn't exactly people that are in the Bible, they didn't know that the Bible was going to end up being a collection of work, a collection of stories about them, a collection of truths that God would record into a holy book. So what if today was a future version of the Bible? What would you do different? How would you live? One of the reasons why I've been enthralled by DMX is because I feel like he feels like the character David in the Bible. And there are scriptures after scriptures that highlight David wrestling with God, wrestling with the reality that he was facing, wrestling with how hard it was. I'm going to pull up one right now as it came to me. Psalm 13. So I'm going to read Psalm 13 real fast. Like, I want you to listen to this, to this scripture, Psalm 13. Yeah. How long wilt thou forget me, Lord? Nope. Changing the version. Just changing the version so that it sounds a little bit more like today. That's really weird. Excuse me. Sorry. New Live, New King James, NIV. Let's go NIV. Just read NIV. Just reads a little bit different than King James. I don't know what's going on with my connectivity with Instagram, and that's going to drive me crazy. Hannah, is your internet off? I think she's in class, but I just had to see if I could get her to cut it off. Anyways, let's get back to it. So today, if you're just tuning in, we are going through we're going to go through the words of a DMX song. And then what I also want to do is I want to think about, as we kind of study DMX this week, and as we study the legacy that he leaves behind, I want to, instead of the story reading troubled rapper, and that's what I keep reading. I keep reading troubled rapper, an addict, those are things that maybe have been part of his life, but those are not his identity. And my goal this week is to show how, first of all, it's not uncommon for any of us to struggle. We are all troubled. We all have our own things. We all have our own demons. We all have our own Damien, which is the character in the story that he tells in this song. We all have that voice in the back of our mind telling us to do something contrary or contradictory to what we know is right. We all get entrapped and ensnared by the situations developing in a way that we would not have anticipated. I'm gonna stop it. It's driving me crazy. You guys, I don't know if there's no one on Instagram right now. So what we'll do is we'll stop it. We'll end that now. I'm gonna record a quick I'm gonna record a quick message for people, and then we're gonna continue. I promise. So I'm gonna do a quick story. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Joel. I am the host of Share the Livestream. And for whatever reason, internet's not working on the Instagram. So click on over, click the link in the bio. Just click the very first one. It says Share the Livestream, and you can tune into the show today. We are here at 1:30. We were here on time at 1:30. The internet wasn't on time, but that has nothing to do with us. Our responsibility is to show up. Our responsibility is to talk about good news and be company. Our responsibility is to be present for people in the world. So that's what we're doing. And just so you know, today we're talking about DMX. We're going to break down one of his songs. We're going to break down one of the truths that I kind of have been thinking about this past week as we celebrate the life of, a modern day prophet. Yeah, I said it. All right, tune in, see what I'm talking about, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace. That is now up. Okay. Done. IG's over. Don't have to worry about it anymore. What did y'all think about that? Every once in a while I can click my brain out of one thing into one thing, and so I clicked. You just watched me click my brain into advertising advertisement mode. Anyways, so getting back to the topic is probably harder for me than switching into advertising mode. No, but anyways, what if the Bible was written today? That's what I want us to think about as an overarching question for this week, as we think about the songs that we have received from DMX, the songs that he's written. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that a good solid chunk, lots of his songs talked about, violence, talked about robbing people, sticking them up. I'm not going to sit here and say that this person was a saint. What I'm going to sit here and say is that neither are you. And what I'm going to sit here and say is there's not a human being that should write an article and call anyone else troubled and compare them to a person. And while if they're honoring a person, then honor them. We don't need to point out that he's troubled because we're all troubled. We don't need to point out that he has demons because he pointed them out for us to see, and some of us didn't listen. People that were close to him didn't listen, and I think that's a problem. But I don't think that it's for nothing. And so what if the Bible was written on today? That's something that I want you to think about today. I want us to think about this week. What if the story of today was written? Who would be the crazies that had the faith? Who would be the craziest that sat there and built an entire ark, an entire boat when rain hadn't come for years? Who would it be? Who would be the ones that just kind of went off the reservation? No one really listened to them. No one paid attention to them, even when they wrote it down in songs. Who would it be? What would your part be? Where would you play? Where would your story be written? Because there are main characters in every story, and then there are the people in every story. And there are people that follow the main character in all the stories, and then there are people that are kind of get swept up into the masses. They're the ones that are just sick and tired of believing that God's going to do the next thing and then build a golden calf to celebrate and dance naked around it. Meanwhile, Moses comes down the mountain with like 2 tablets that were etched by the hand of God that are the laws for us to follow and that have become the 10 commandments. Moses came off the mountain with the word of God in his hands to see people who had just given up on God, who had given up on trying to do what was hard, which was to wait for God to show up, and then decided to create their own God, their own false idol. Who would you be in the story? Where would your life play out if the Bible was written today? And that's the question. And I didn't have that question coming into this show today, to be honest with you, because I'm having a bad week. I had a hard time sleeping again last night. I had a hard time sleeping Monday. I even went to bed early last night, still had a hard time. And I slept way too late today. And so I'm just having a hard week, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to keep asking God to tell me what to do and show me what to do. And he's showing me that. He's asking me that question today for you, for us, as we explore a human being who has a lot of lyrics that you might not agree with, says the N-word a lot more than you might agree with. No one asks. No one asked David. No one asked David. No one in the midst of it was in David's ear saying, yeah, you probably shouldn't sleep with your army's, your military soldier's wife. But he did it. And he's regarded in his legacy in the Bible as of a great and wise king. And at every stage of David's life, he wrestled with God. At every stage of his life, he called out for God. At every stage of his life, he highlighted how much he needed God. And he highlighted, and his brokenness was never hidden in the Bible. And so it strikes me as interesting as I sit with DMX's passing, but more than his passing, more like the recap of his legacy. Every single thing says troubled rapper, troubled, brilliant genius. And it's just like, I mean, we are troubled. Every single one of us is troubled. The difference is some people have the courage to open up. Some people have the courage to show up. And I'm not talking about myself in third person right now. It has been a really hard thing for me to show up every day. It is a really hard thing for me to show up every day. I'm just being 100% honest. I'm not trying to talk about myself. And I'm literally trying to point at DMX in the way that he did it, for this particular exercise, if you will. But it's hard. It is hard to show up with your emotions every day. And it isn't something that people want to listen to, clearly, because no one's watching the live stream right now at all. And so when you do it, when you're a person that's anointed, when you're a person that God's just put special favor on your life to bring his word to his people, to, like my friend AC said the other day, to get his kids back home. When you were one of those people, you know, there's an extra weight on your shoulders. There's an extra attack that happens. You know, I've also heard, you know, people say, if you weren't a threat, like, Satan wouldn't have anything to do with you. You know, if you weren't a threat, if you weren't one of God's soldiers, there would be no reason for evil forces to attack you, because you'd be irrelevant. You know, in the fight, not irrelevant as the fact that you're a human being and God cares about you, but you'd be irrelevant in that fight, in that particular fight. It'd be irrelevant to attack you if you're not a threat to the battle. And so when people are attacked and when people do it, you know, the story, DMX, when he first experienced crack cocaine, when it was laced on a blunt that he smoked, it was someone had put it in with a blunt he smoked. And if you thought just now, well, he shouldn't have been smoking blunts in the first place, shame on you. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I feel like it's important. You are why it's important for us to break stigmas, to shake judgments, to look at a human being for what's in their heart, not the color of their skin or the fact they smoke a blunt, but the content of their character, what's inside their heart. That's what God tells us that he evaluates. That's what he holds important. And so he smoked, and when he smoked, it was laced, and it was the first time that he ever smoked crack, and that was how his addiction started. That was how he became an addict. Someone that he looked up to as well, someone that he worked for. He tells the story. You know, you can look it up. You can look up that story if you want to find out more about that. But then his addiction, you know, took over a lot of his life, and it was a really powerful thing, and derailed him a lot. And you can literally see it eating away at him over the course of his life. But he became an addict at 14, and 5 albums in a row debuted at #1. He's the only rapper ever to accomplish that. 5 albums at #1. He's the only rapper to ever accomplish 2 #1 albums in the same year. And so there was clearly favor on his life. There's clearly favor. He had favor, and he has overcome significant trauma, significant addiction, significant problems. That he said that he for 13 years he tried to get a record album, and then when he did, it was just success after success after success. And it's not a surprise that there was an attack on his life. In this song, Damien was one of 3 songs where he told a story of how Satan would talk to him. And what was interesting about it was when you heard it, you could hear the griminess, you could hear the slickness, but you can hear the realness of how Satan slips in, whether it's through friends, whether it's through in the first song, Damien, which we're gonna kind of talk about. In the first song, Damien, he literally is kind of in a point. He's telling the story of he's kind of to the point where he's about to make it. He's about to make it rapping, or he's been rapping, and he's been shooting for this the entire time. And Satan says, "I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you what you want." And then it's like, "Oh, what's up?" Like, we're about to make it rapping. He even tells his little boy, "I'm about to make it rapping," and we'll read it. But then you'll see what happens in a relationship past that. The songs that we won't talk about today, but are important to understand, is that out of those 5 #1 albums, every single album DMX prayed on that album, full prayer. I read one yesterday on Livestream. On every single album, there was a battle. There was a battle of some sort. There was Damien. The next song was The Omen, which was kind of this story that we're about to read, part 2, because it ends with "to be continued." Then part 2 comes on. Marilyn Manson actually is on that song, and it's called The Omen. And then there's a third song, Damien 3, that appears on his 4th album. And even in that album, even in those words, Satan's like, "Oh, you forgot about me last time. Like, I did something for you. I've been doing something. I've been making you hot. I've been, I'm the one that put you on in the first place. You forgot about me last album. You didn't give me any shout outs last album." So it's really interesting and really intricate for this story to be woven through so many albums. And because it was more than just a story to him. This is the reality of what his life was. This is reality of what our life is. He's just an artist that will put it on paper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these lyrics, or I might sum them up. I don't know. And I don't know exactly how to zoom in. Why can't I zoom? Control Z, Alt Z. No? All right. Why is it every move I make turns out to be a bad one? Where's my guardian angel? Need one, wish I had one. And then you hear Satan's voice. "I'm right here, shorty, and I'm gonna hold you down. I'm trying to..." Oh yeah, all the N words are bleeped out. Yeah, and that's actually and the cuss words. "I'm trying to mess up all these dudes, and I'm gonna show you how. But who?" And then the voice says, "My name's D, like you, but my friends call me Damien. And I'm gonna put you into something about this game we in. I'm gonna put you on to something about this game we in. You and me could take it there, and you'll be the hottest blank ever living." So basically, he's making the promise that he's going to be successful. You're going to be successful if you follow me. You do what I tell you to do. We're gonna take it over. And then he goes on. He says, "I've been writing all my life." So the idea that this is a passion, this is a deep-seated, this is something that I've wanted for so long. And then you have this entity come to you and basically say, "Here it is." And here's what I want to do is I want to make sure that you don't just take it surface level to rapping, and take it surface level as this is something he was looking forward to this entire time. That's the beauty of music. That's the beauty of art, is that it can be interpreted in so many different ways. All you got to do is think about the thing that you have been pursuing for so long. I don't know if it's like Instagram followers. I don't know if it's success in real estate. I don't know if it's being rich, whatever it is. When you get to a point when you pursue something so much for so long, and it's kind of part of your DNA, part of what's inside of you, it can take on the power. It can take on a power to cloud and fog your judgment for who you allow to be involved in that blessing, in that purpose. Does that make sense? You're allowed, you can make it, you can take on, you can step into and step out of, favor. You can essentially compromise your integrity in order to achieve the thing that you've been pursuing for so long. If you let yourself, and it's really easy to, especially when someone comes around and says, I'm gonna make you the hottest thing ever, I'm gonna take care of it, I'm gonna put you on, yada yada yada, like without really kind of evaluating who and what that person is saying, who that person is, what that person's motivation is. You start going in, you start, hey, this person's gonna give me what I've been looking for my whole life. And then he says, he goes home and he says, that's what I've been wanting all my life. Think about my little man, so I call my wife. Well, your dad is about to make it happen. And then the little boy goes, what you mean? And he goes, I'm about to make it rapping. Today I met this cat. His name is Damien. He thinks that we're a lot alike and wants to be my friend. I'm going to tell you another thing. Satan will come to you and make you think that you and him are best friends. You and him are so alike, that you are so much like him, that he is so much like you, that the Bible talks about the beauty, how beautiful Satan is, how crafty, how smart, how powerful it is to be seduced when someone makes themselves so similar to you. But just little differences, right? Just little differences. We're going to cut some corners. We're going to do a couple things, but just little differences. But yeah, we're just alike. Don't worry. We're like on 10 things, but that one thing in his case would be, well, we'll find out. But for what is it for you? What is it for you in your story? You're so much alike. You and your girlfriend, you and your girlfriends, y'all all go out, you love brunch, and and we got all these things in common except for this one or that one or all of them and not you. What is it? But they just have that thing. That addiction that they want to. Everything else is cool and copacetic, but the one thing that they want to share with you. That one thing that leads you into a dark place. That one thing that you have to keep secret. That the one thing that's a secret between just y'all. Like, what is it? What are those things? And are those things good or destructive? Are they building or are they destroying? I mean, that's the question. And so the chorus says, the snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How are you going to see them when you're living in the fog? The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How are you going to see them when you're living in the fog? That's the whole chorus. And who is it? And who are the snake? Who's the snake in your life? Who's the rat in your life? Who's the cat in your life? Who's the dog in your life? Who are the people that could be leading you astray? Could be waiting to bite your ankles? Could be waiting to to sneak around behind your back? Who are they? And how are you going to see him when you're living in the fog? When you're living in a place where he was battling addiction during the time that he got put on. That was part of his fog. What's your fog? Is it? Are you blinded by success that you want to have? Are you blinded by just fitting in because all of a sudden you just got people that they make you feel like you finally fit in? I mean, yeah, they do coke, but they make you feel like they fit in. Yeah, they drink way too much, but they make me feel like I fit in. I mean, yeah, it doesn't, yeah, they will pursue and execute that cold-hearted business deal unethically. But I mean, but we're making so much money, you know. Where do you have to evaluate the people around you, and then what your own perspective is? What is your own perspective? Are you in a fog, or are you clear-headed? Are you distracted by the things that you see that are glitz and glamoury, or are you focused on what the truth really is in your specific situation? So that's the question. That's the question, because like I said, everything in this music, we're going to be essentially like tying back into ourselves. Where can we see ourselves? And then then the next verse. What up, D? And then what up, D? Talking to Damien, talking to DMX. You're a smooth dude. I seen you when nobody knew who pulled the trigger. Yeah, you know it's always over dough, because DMX was still kind of in his street life when he first started in rapping. And then Damien, Damien can see the truth because the evil one is powerful. And that might be the next point. The next point is that in this part of the video, this part of the song, he's like, I saw you when you pulled the trigger. And then Damien goes, and then DMX goes, yeah, you know, it's always over dough. Like, the only reason why I got into that altercation, shot that person, did whatever it is, because I was robbing him, or it was over money, or whatever it is. And then Damien goes, you sure? I could have swore it was over a girl. And, you know, if you kind of go back to like being in the hood that time back in the day, it was like way different to do a crime for like money versus an anger crime about, you know, like maybe he was dating her, or maybe he got caught up with, he said something to, you know, to whatever, or it was a much bigger gap between it was more honorable to do something for money than it was in the street to do something because a girl made you do it, because that's kind of based on emotion. And I think that ties back into a way bigger story that's in the hood, to be honest with you. And so it was more honorable to do something for money than it was for a girl. And then, but Damien knows better. He catches him in that, and he says, you sure? I could have sworn it was over a girl. And then DMX goes, no, that's not my style. And then Damien says, man, you stay fronting, but you still my man. Like, I know that you're lying, but you're still my boy. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something the devil does. I know it's a show about the devil, but it's important. The songs like this are these truths are important because most people don't want to talk about it. Most people don't want to see it. Most people don't want to have nothing to do with it, you know. Or yeah. I'm sure there's evil forces, but what you got to understand is that Satan is always at work for your soul. He is always at work. Again, he doesn't have to work as hard if you're not sitting up here, you know, going on live and talking about the fact that he exists. Because I'm sure I'm going to get in all kind of trouble. I'll probably won't be able to sleep again tonight. Who knows what else will happen to me based on my threat level? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I know my guy's bigger than him, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, my man's bigger. I got the right dog in the fight. Hey, DMX reference. But what he'll do is he's so cunning, he's so crafty, he's so conniving that what he'll do is he'll sit here and say, he'll kind of make you think that, like, oh man, you know what? I'm gonna act like it's all good. It's all good. I know it was over, girl, but it's all good, bro. I'm gonna keep your secret. I'm gonna build that trust with you. You're my boy. I'm gonna hold you down. He says, you stay fronting, but I'm gonna hold you down. But you're still my man. You're still my man. I know the truth. It's all good though. When you have some of those it's all goods, it gets easier and easier and easier to do bad things. Promise. from a personal experience of mine, it was literally just getting hammered out of control. And then the next day, everybody was calling you like, oh man, you know, the things we did. And then we're trying to piece together the parts of the puzzle for each other. Like, yeah, then you did this and you said this and you smacked that and this, and then I did this and then whatever it is. And we're trying to put, but there's camaraderie in the blackout, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I get it. We all want to fit in, but we all want something that we can have with each other. I think that's what that really comes down to. And if it's a secret, it can sustain. It can hold you over. Secrets, connection secrets, they can hold you over for a while. They can get you past. They can get you into it. They can get you you know, by like, oh yeah, we're connected. No, I mean we man, let me tell you what we can't talk about. We're connected. They can hold you over for sure, but they don't forge real bonds. They don't because they're not in truth. They're not in truth, you know. But or keeping a secret for somebody else, like, you know, yeah, that can keep you guys together. But if it tries to replace the truth, it doesn't fit there. So it'll never fully so it'll never take away, in my personal story, if we had a bond, like, you know, if we were drinking buddies and our bond was based on getting hammered every day, and then we don't get hammered every day. I'm speaking specifically about my life right now, today, in one of the worst seasons I've ever been in my entire life. And I got drinking buddies that I don't talk to. Drinking buddies. I got people that aren't there because those secrets can last a little while. Those things that you do behind the scenes that are not like kind of like, at least like foundationally in truth. If my drinking buddies that I actually had real friendships with and found something else to do with other than drink, you know, I know that I could talk to them. But if we were just drinking buddies, those relationships crumble. They're not built in truth. They're built in us basically being debaucherous. And I don't know why. Gluttony. It's based on gluttony. So we're not able to really like, hey, okay, now that the drinking's gone, now that Joel doesn't drink anymore, Joel's not fun. Now that Joel, you know, and I think that might be it. I don't even think a lot of my, you know, old friends have like really a problem with what I talk about. I think it's more about the fact that like we just don't have the same things in common anymore. And so I want to highlight that. I want to highlight that because those bonds are temporary. As you can see in the song, it's like, nah, you stay friend, but you're still my man. I don't have anything to say about it. Got your weed, go ahead, smoke it. And basically, so he's giving him a he's basically going back to that secret place. He said, go ahead, smoke it. Go ahead, drink it up. Go ahead and have, you know, sex with shorty. You know, I can keep your secret. And so he's building this trust in this secret place. Here's the thing. Here's what you need to ask yourself. And here's the test. These are true and real possibilities for relationships that are in my life. If your relationship cannot be brought into the light, it is not healthy. It is not good. It is not a real relationship that will benefit you. You will be expending too much in the relationship, or maybe not even expending too much, maybe just being sucked dry of it. It might just be sucking you dry without you even realizing it. You might not be expending it. You might not be trying to put the effort out. Sometimes you are, but you might not even have to try to put the effort out. It might just be pulling the energy out of you. And then he then with his secret comes another promise. You know, I'm gonna have you probably driving the Benz. We got to stay friends, blood out, blood in, right? We start making these bonds that'll, you know, this friendship's never gonna end or whatever it is. You know, and some of us, those toxic ones need to end. Some of us, those toxic ones, we need to understand that it's a wrap sooner than when they are a wrap. So, DMX responds, sounds good to me. What I got to lose? You know, that comes back to self-esteem. That comes back to that idea that, you know, identity can be found somewhere else. What I got to lose? You know what I'm saying? Like, what I got to lose with being your friend? What sacrifice? It doesn't matter what sacrifices I got to make. My integrity, my goal isn't. I don't really have a goal. I don't really have a purpose. I don't have a purpose that's identified clear enough. So what I got to lose? You know, making money. That's what I want. That's what I want to do. That's what you promise. And then he talks about he's got pushing a whip, taking trips across seas, pockets stay laced. In other words, he's got money. You know what I'm saying? Because of this relationship. For that, I would bleed. Give him my right hand. Now that I think about it, yo, that's my man. He thinks about the fact he's basically committing. He's making a commitment, like a commitment to this lifestyle, commitment to compromise. And when you make a commitment to compromise, there's going to be sacrifice. He highlights that his sacrifice. He's like, yo, I'll give him my right hand. And then, you know, and when you make a commitment to sacrifice, when you make a commitment to compromise, you will lose something. It's just inevitable. You will. In this hand, he says casually that about his hand. All right. And then Damien checks back in, right? Things are going on for a little while. You like how everything's going? You like what I did? You know, if I was going, you know, if you was going down, I'd be the one to save it. Like, I'm the reason why you're successful. You know, if something was going on, I'd be there. I'd save you. He goes, but here's where it comes. Here's where here's where it comes. Where it takes a twist. But yo, I need a favor. These cats across town hate me. Plus, their behavior hasn't been too good lately. What? Anything for you, dog. And DMX is like committed now. He's made a commitment to compromise. He's committed. Anything to you, dog. Where they at? 38th and Broadway. DMX responds, let me get the gat. Let me get his gun. Because he's got to go take care of something. He's made a commitment to compromise. And now there's a situation where Damien is calling in the favor that he said that he needed. Because it always happens that way. Always. There's always, when you're in a compromised relationship, when you make a commitment to compromise, there is always a favor that needs to be asked. For me, just speaking on my own behalf, my commitment to compromise in the past has caused me to lie to others, significant others, about where they were. Now my integrity is compromised because I lied about where someone else was to cover for them so that they could cheat on their girlfriend, their wife, their whatever. My commitment to compromise has gotten me to look the other way when shady business was going on. Because I had to, because I made a commitment to the compromise. And so now I am tainted by that compromise. And I think that there's got to be a place that you can think of in your life where an here's the thing. I don't want to say the word holy like it's like this is a big church word. You know what I'm saying? I mean it is, but holiness has a bad rap. Like not based on truth. Like a relationship that's not based on truth. So what relationship that's not based on truth are you in where you've made a commitment to compromise? Here's the thing, a commitment to compromise, as you can even see by the story, it doesn't always come like at the beginning. You don't meet someone right away and he's like, yo, hey, you know, brand new friend, I need you to tell my wife that I was at your house sleeping last night. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't come from like a brand new relationship. It's cultivated. And I'm not even saying that like it's one that is one that's cultivated maliciously. The person that is committing the adultery might You know, I mean, here's the thing. I make no judgment. I can't make any judgments about that. But they might not have ever anticipated having to ask you for that, starting the relationship. You might have just started as drinking buddies. You might have just have started as gossip buddies, you know? And now because you are in that gossip situation and you are committed to that compromise, you have to lie when the person says, hey, did so-and-so say something about so-and-so to me? Did so-and-so tell you about me? Did so-and-so tell you about whatever? You know, like you and me, we got a truthful, honest, open relationship we've always had. Like, were you in a compromised kind of conversation about me? And then you got to lie, because your commitment to compromise has to, you know, your commitment to a compromised relationship tells you that, like, okay, I don't want to not be friends with that person, and I don't want that person to be mad at me now. You see how like the complexity keeps growing when you're in a compromised situation or compromised conversation? No, I'm sorry, a compromised relationship. Compromised relationship makes you start to have to compromise other things about yourself. Now you have to. You're not a person that lies about where people are. You're not a person that volunteers. You're not a person that you're not even a person that gossips. But you've been in a compromised situation, and now you're a gossiper. And so he this next part of the song, you know, this is gangster rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me get the gap, run up on them, and bust off caps in 4 of them, like shoot 4 of them, lay low for a month, and then kill 2 more. Like he says, now I'm ready to chill, but you still want me to kill. Like, I've done the thing that was compromising. I did the thing, you know, and this is the part of the relationship where it's like, now it's not just, oh yeah, tell that person I was at work. Now tell that person I was at your house. Now it's, hey, do you mind if your girlfriend can say the same thing to my girlfriend? Now it's yeah, not just have we been, you know, talking about you behind your back the entire time. Like, you know, we have been spreading it to other people and more people and more people, and it's been perpetuating. So it's that slow journey into the void and the abyss that is compromised relationships, that I think that he highlights in this song so eloquently. You know, like, how smart do you have to be? Because, you know, how smart are you, right? To sit here and talk about, you know, there's people that'll just hear this certain part. They'll just hear the snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you gonna see it when you're living in the fog? The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you gonna see it when you're living in the fog? I mean, they'll hear that part. It becomes catchy. It's part of them. It's part of who they are. You know, some people, let me get the gat, run up on them niggas, bust off cats and folk, you know, lay low for about a month and kill 2 more. Like, there's people that part will resonate with. But what what DMX was doing while he was doing all this, while he was sharing his story, while he was sharing like his vulnerability, what he was doing is he was highlighting real life complicated situations, the real power of Satan, which is just incredible. And then he goes, and then it doesn't stop. You know, he said, now I'm ready to chill, but you still want me to kill. And then he goes, look what I did for you, dog. Come on, keep it real. Like the Satan's like, yo, I put you on. I did this for you. I made you the person that you are. Let's keep it real. And now he's holding over his fame. He's holding to the things that are in him, that have been in him the entire time, that he's used for that person, that he's used for Damien, that he's used for that compromised relationship. Now he's holding over like, yo, bro, you wouldn't be with me. You wouldn't be. And here's the thing. This feels like relationships to me that are toxic relationships. This feels like, you know, this feels like my father, to be honest with you. The manipulation that would exist when he'd be like, what? Like, you know, I made you who you are. You think that you got those, the way that you speak, your intelligence, your blah, blah, blah. I made you those. What do you mean? What do you mean? I made you. And the reality is God's given us all of our talents. God's given us all of our power, all of our super strength, all of our all of the things that make us special in the world and unique. He's added to us the things that make us unique in the world every day. The thing that make us the piece that's in the world that fits, that fits because there's a purpose for each of us. There's a reason why each of us are in the world. There's a reason why each of us need to be in the world. There's people around us that we're meant to be in contact and a relationship with. And if anyone ever starts to claim that, I don't care if it's your husband. I don't care if it's a person that's been 20 years. I don't care if it's the person that's been your manager. The gifts that are inside of you are the gifts that are inside of you. If a person starts taking credit for those gifts, saying like, yo, I made you who you are. No, hun. God made me who I am. And God brought you as who you are to possibly compliment me. But we are two separate things. And so they don't have to be the same. They don't have to be, there should not be a power. There should not be a power of one person over another person based on what they've made you or what they've done for you. That should not be, that doesn't come into play into scripture. Actually, it does, but just in a negative light. But ultimately, it's God that's put your gifts inside of you and made you who you were. So when someone says like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I put you on, hey, who's your biggest fan? Who's your biggest fan? That's the next. He goes, he needs him to do something else. And of course, this time it's even more compromising. He said, hey, yo, you remember that kid, Sean, you used to be with an 89? And DMX is like, no, that's my friend. That's like my man. But yo, that's my, and then Damien says, who's your biggest fan? Either do it or give me your right hand. That's what you said. See, now ain't nothing but trouble ahead. So the compromise situation will come to a head every single time. The compromising relationship, compromising situation, I got to get a desk because that's unacceptable. Right now I'm on a folding table with a brand new computer and all this setup. But anyways, I got to get a table or a desk, something that doesn't do that. Anyways, the compromising relationship, the compromising conversation, the compromising situation will come to a head every single time. And you'll have to make yet again another decision or it will explode. If it's been a secret, it will come to light. I promise. Everything comes to light eventually. If it's something that if you've covered for, it will come to light. It'll blow up in your face. I promise. And this is what's happening in this part of the song. Now Damien wants him to kill a friend of his, someone that he considers a friend. And he says, oh man, nothing but trouble ahead. And that's basically the chorus plays out again. Snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. Snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How you gonna see him when you're living in the fog? And then the song kind of trails off. In the fog, living in the fog. How you gonna see him if you living in the fog? In the fog, in the fog. How you gonna see him if you living in the fog? The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. And then you hear to be continued. And that's the song Damien by DMX. And that's the breakdown that I have to it. And I want to reapply the first question of the conversation today. If the Bible were written today, where would you be in the writing of the Bible today? And the reason, or in history, what you have to understand is it doesn't have to be as extreme as the sacred word of God. What if a book was written about your life today? First of all, would you be honest? And that's one of the things I think is the most incredible about DMX is that he's at least honest. So many of us try to act like we got it under control, got it figured out. We're good. We don't need anything. We're covered. We're coasted. But at least he's honest. At least he can say, like, first of all, what I want to point out is this is a song that talks a lot about Satan, but they're not just because I know his body of work, but in order to have a conversation, a thought process that's this clearly admissible, that Satan is real, that he's powerful, that he's in conversation with me daily, that he's in a situation to change my mind and change who I am, that he's in a situation to take credit for who I become. In order to have all that entire songs, you don't hear God mentioned one time in that song, but in order to know the evil one so well, you have to know that there is a God to counterbalance. And not just because I know that that's what DMX knows, but because he, in this song, he sits here and he essentially dissects he dissects the conversation. He dissects the way, the manipulative nature. Because he knows his nature, he has to understand, there has to be a contextual balance. You can't see evil until you know good. You can't see good until you know evil. You can't see the rainbow without the rain. You know, that all that corny stuff. You can't fully appreciate. Like it makes a lot more sense when we say that, you know, like you don't know brighter days until you see the rain. Like that sounds like, yeah, okay, great. But the point is, that's the rain. That's seeing the rain. Until you see and appreciate that there is a contrast between good and evil, until you fully embrace the fact that that contrast exists, you'll be powerless and wandering through this playing out in your life every single day. And maybe it's not you killing 6 people, probably not, but you're killing 6 people. And that's probably not even the truth of what happened in his situation. It's a story that he told. But the point is, if you don't recognize evil, it has the ability to sneak up on you in these compromised relationships, compromised situations. If you're welcoming compromise into your story, it will grow. It will sneak in there. It'll stay there. It'll wiggle itself around, and it'll grow, and it'll start to grow. And compromise will build on compromise, will build on compromise. Toxicity will build on toxicity, will build on toxicity. And then next thing you know, you have a full, and then it'll come to a head every single time. And it may come to a head over and over and over again. And then now you're trapped in this toxic relationship. And, you know, you don't know how to get out of this toxic relationship. But the reality is, it started somewhere. It started somewhere. And if you had known and seen the signs, maybe there would have been a different response out of the gate. But maybe you didn't know. Maybe you had no way to understand that the situation or the relationship that you're in is a compromised one. But I can tell you that that's not what God wants for you. I can tell that God wants you to be free, not trapped. The whole Bible talks about us being free. The whole theme of the Bible, I think, is freedom. Honestly, that's what I feel like believing in Jesus is for me. That's what I believe in. It's freedom from fear. It's freedom from worry. It's freedom from loneliness and depression and anxiety. And yes, it makes its way back into my body, all those things. But the idea is not that to exist in my body. The idea is freedom. The idea is freedom from compromising who God made me in the world to do the work that I'm supposed to do in the world. And so that's what I think. That's what I think. I think that this is a song that highlights the compromise we make in relationship behind closed doors, but like with like in secret, the compromises that we make that eventually chain us to an identity that's not meant for us, that's not ours, that keeps us locked into the lies, the heartache, the pain, the secrets, the doubt. Doubt is one of the most incredible weapons of the enemy, because doubt will make you second guess God's goodness. Doubt will make you second guess the blessings that you have inside of you. When I battled doubt every single day. I battled doubt today. I didn't want to, you know, who am I to dissect DMX's notes? And I'm not really that prepared. I'm not prepared enough because, you know, I just didn't have a good night and I overslept. And who am I to dissect, to point out the good news? Who am I to do a live stream every single day with nobody watching. I'm a king. I'm a lead servant. I'm a man who loves God with all my heart. I'm a man who has been blessed to be a father and really just wants to do that at the best of my ability. That's my number one and most favorite job. I'm also a person that God's given some insight to, some connection. It's not a I didn't miss the meaning of this song when I listened to it 100 times in 1998 when it came out. You know, more than that. And however many hundreds of times I listened to it over the course of the year, I thought it was brilliant this entire time. Today I break it down. Today I break it down a little bit differently. But I wanna end in tying that song together. There's a one of the prayers, it's called Prayer on DMX, and he's crying out for God. And I read it, and I actually just recited the first part of it, and posted on Instagram on the day that DMX passed. But it sounded very, very, very similar to this to me. And the reason why I'm making that connection, making that tie between what if the Bible was written today, what would your story be in it? If a book about your life was written today, if history were to recap, where would you be? Where would you be in the, when history looks back at the Nazis? I'm pretty sure that there's a whole lot of people that thought they would be remembered or recounted a little bit different. People that followed the wrong side, let's put it that way. If they had thought a little bit more about how history would have recounted them, how they would have been remembered, maybe there would have been a different outcome, maybe not. But the point is, where will you be on the other side of history? And in closing, I'm gonna read Psalm 13. Psalm 13 is from David, and I've said before, I felt DMX feels very David-esque to me, because he has no problem with wrestling with God. He has no problem with questioning God, questioning where is he. This particular song isn't that. This one is where he's actually talking to Satan. But in this scripture, David's talking to God himself, and he says, "How long, Lord, will you forgive me? Oh, I'm sorry. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts, and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look at me and answer. Lord my God, give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me." And so as a person who has wrestled, a person who has been tempted by the evil one, has succumbed to the evil one, as a person who wrestles with God every day, tries to find out the purpose behind the pain, tries to seek the truth. If you're a person that's doing that too, kudos to you. Keep seeking. There's nothing more important than the truth. There's nothing more powerful than the truth. There's nothing more poignant. Nothing's going to be more impactful in the world than the truth. So keep fighting. Stop compromising. Stop compromising relationships. It's not who God wants you to be in the world. Stop compromising who you are to exist or to find favor, because it ultimately won't. It'll ultimately blow up in your face, and then you'll be left as a shattered piece of yourself. Promise. I've done it. I've been it. So that's what I got for today. Guys, don't forget to share. I say it every single day. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to share. And I'm actually going to pray because it feels like a weird ending. Lord, thank you for DMX. Thank you for DMX, for his life. Thank you for the struggle that he made public so that people had an opportunity to study it and to understand it. Thank you that he was so wise in highlighting compromise, the compromising spirit of the devil and its power, so that people can understand. If they can put a real situation to a compromised situation, and just how much more powerful it is for people to relate to the struggle that's being highlighted. And so we thank you for this man that struggled publicly in front of people. That it wasn't the struggle that was popular; it was the beat. But the struggle is what you wanted people to hear. I know it, because I know you. And so thank you for that. Thank you for this opportunity to just talk, chat, bring a little bit of your good news to some people. We love you. Thank you. In Jesus' name. Amen. And that is it. Don't forget to share, guys. We have enough. Blessings or bruises. You have enough to share. You have enough to give it away. Pains or provisions. You have enough to share. So don't carry it all yourself. And make sure you're careful with what leads your steps in your life. Probably didn't do the blessings on your own. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure you didn't. So that's what we do. We share here because we've got enough. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I'm off stream at 1 hour and 6 minutes. And I didn't have anything to say when I got on. God, you're good. Thank you so much. And we're out.